You're watching the TCMMA podcast.
But let's begin with Dana White, because we're going to get into that and then get into some of the reactions from last night. But basically, you had Dana White getting ready to lead the press conference last night after the Contender Series. And then he sat back down and he got into a back and forth with the media or reporters over Jon Jones versus Stipe Miocic, and whether, from Dana White's perspective, the reporters really believe that Jon Jones isn't number one for pound for pound. He's defending why he has to, not that he has to, but why he's setting this fight up, saying it wasn't Stipe Miocic's fault, in so many words, that Jon Jones had to pull out. So what do you do? Just pull the fight from Stipe? We get all that. We get all that. But the fight shouldn't have been set up in the first place. It was clear that Tom Aspinall was on the rise. Yeah, we threw some guys at Tom Aspinall, hoping he'd get knocked off his pedestal, but it didn't happen. In fact, he actually only upped the ante even more by KOing two guys in the first round. I believe, right? Someone fact check that. I'm pretty sure the last two fights, wasn't it Curtis Blades and Sergey Pavlovich? Weren't those both in the first round? Well, I hope I'm right. So, those, so they're going back and forth. Dana White said at one point, "What do I do?" A guy who was looking as the greatest heavyweights in the UFC, the fight is set up, Jon Jones gets hurt. It's not his fault. He has to wait and go back into training camp again. He was training. So do I just yank it away from Stipe? Right? So all this is going on. And my thing is, the fight shouldn't have been, it's not about yanking it away from Stipe, which now, if I'm Dana White, I'm doing the same thing. We can't go back in time. So yeah, now you're, see, and that's the thing, and that's why we say don't book the fight in the first place, because now you're caught in this mess. You're constantly caught in the mess of Jon Jones, whether in this case he gets hurt, okay, it hasn't been like that. It's always been that way. But there's times where he didn't fight in over a year and defend the light heavyweight belt and so on, so on and so on. So now you're stuck in this mess where Stipe hasn't had a win in 4 years, and he's supposedly the best UFC heavyweight ever and all this stuff. But then in the next breath, Jon Jones is number one pound for pound of all time, Dana White would tell you. So how is Stipe then the best heavyweight of all time? Jon Jones is. He won the belt and he's the best ever, right? So he's okay. So you can't be the best ever over all things and not the best ever over that one individual thing. To me, that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. If you're the best number one, according to Dana White, then you're the best heavyweight. So why are we fighting Stipe and trying to, prop him up and say he's the best heavyweight of all time? I'm confused. I'm very confused. Dana White's still saying I have two legends of the sport that wanted to fight each other. Yeah, but what if Tom Aspinall is the legend in the making? I mean, he's running through some big-time heavyweights. Now, listen, I think Jon Jones wins the fight. Although I have to look at it harder and harder, see how the Stipe fight goes. But from what I remember, 2 or 3 years ago, Stipe was on the decline then. I don't know what's going on now. So if he sticks in there with Jon Jones, then we got to start questioning, can Tom Aspinall beat Jon Jones? Maybe. So I might have to come back on that, but that's where it's at. So, last night you had some great fights, man. Like, for example, first guy getting in, Malcolm Wellmaker, 8-0, bantamweight fighter, got the KO in the first round, and we had fun with this one last night. Check this out. Seems to me like Wellmaker's getting off pretty early here. The only thing from Bramhall so far is the kicks. The only thing Wellmaker's got to be worried about, but at the same time, he's got more power to me, and his punching down. It's always a big factor halfway through round one. Oh, and a big right catches Bramhall. And that's it. Let's go, baby. Let's go. And he turns right to Dana White, and Dana White is just like, wow. Okay. Dang, and both guys come together, but Malcolm Wellmaker is going to get the huge KO victory here at the Contender Series. And already this is going to be a tough night. It doesn't even matter what happens in the next 3 fights. This is going to be a tough night for Dana White to make picks, and I hope he just goes for it and just gives out 6 contracts. Because both guys in the first fight deserve it. Then you get a big bantamweight finish here. And already the Contender Series and Dana White are beefing up the lower weight classes. I mean, that's what we're seeing up and down the first 3 weeks here, as we had a great flyweight fight, now a big bantamweight fight that sees Malcolm Wellmaker move to 8-0. So in back-to-back fights, we got 8-0 fighters. And you see here, Bramhall comes in and he was throwing a left and just took the right, and that's a wrap. And we were wrong on this one. I mean, Bramhall is no slouch. The guy's 13-2. And Wellmaker, the American, I like that, comes in. Bantamweight division moves to 8-0 here at the Contender Series. Impressive. Yeah, so we were wrong on that prediction, but listen, I like that it's an American undefeated fighter. Find that interesting. Wellmaker opened my eyes last night for sure. For sure. And then also you had some other really good fights as well. Like Marco Tulio doing his thing, getting the big finish. Tulio continues to apply pressure here. 235 left, round 2. Oh, and a nice left by Duclos. But he's getting tired, it seems like. Oh, he takes a big right. Ooh. And I'm not sure how Tulio landed that, but he's going to get the finish. Was that a spinning back kick, spinning back elbow? Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. And we got this one right. This guy's 11-1, now 12-1. The Brazilian, you already know how I feel. And this is the first of 2 big middleweight division fights tonight. And we very likely are going to get 2 new middleweight fighters. That will be 3, I believe, on the season, if both guys get it. But Marco Tulio, definitely deserving. The Brazilian moves to 12-1 here, middleweight division. Dana White's Contender Series. Yeah, so that's another guy getting in there. You have Bogdan Grad get in there. And Andre Puliev, who's a middleweight. So just last night, you had a featherweight, a bantamweight, and 2 middleweights. So just 2 of the 4 lower weight classes, but the lower weight classes are definitely beefed up. Dana White would not give out 6 contracts, right? He would give out 4. But that's still, I mean, 4 every week. You got 12 new UFC fighters and 7 weeks to go. I mean, this thing is interesting. And then, of course, again, you get to the press conference afterwards. It's just, you know, you're expecting him to talk about Contender Series, which he does, right? But then the reporters got him out there, so now you're on the hot seat, and now they're trying to throw other things in there, and it ends up being a great discussion because it's Dana White. Because it's Dana White.
He's gon' fight, he's gon' fight. Hold your breath till the end of the night. Last fighter call, UFC at its height. Bringing that thunder with all his might. Saying, step up, wanna fight? Hold up, think twice. Gladiator, assassin, reckless, no abandon. Walk through that cage, he'll leave your ass stranded.